Welcome back to Odyssey News. I am Mike Odyssey, and first off, we'll start with rapid fire news where I'll give you a little bit of everything inside the world of Nintendo. And of course, today's main story has the end of an era come for The Legend of Zelda. Let's go ahead and talk about it.
Welcome to the Odyssey, hit the like, press play. You're running with the squad like Xenoblade. Drive like Mario, we on a...
Hey guys, welcome to the Odyssey. Thank you so much for being here, and I would love to ask for your subscription. If you love Nintendo, Monday through Friday news, we got products right here and reviews, and we also have the best community out there. So if you love family-friendly content when it comes to Nintendo news, then I would ask for your subscription. I'm also a huge advocate for disabilities since I myself am legally blind, and of course I have my daughter who has autism, so I'm a big advocate for the autistic community and the disabled community. So we have here an amazing group of people that you guys will be really cool friends with, and I would love to ask you to subscribe, stay here, and join us as we enjoy the world of Nintendo. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of the video. First up in rapid fire news, we have Splatoon, and guess what? The next season in Splatoon is coming on June 1st. This is the Sizzle season. So hey, if you guys play Splatoon, this is an exciting moment for everyone in Splatoonville because right now, Sizzle season begins on June 1st. Moving on to other news, we got Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, Iron Treads, and Greek Tusk Terra Trades event begins this weekend. So we have a great event happening in the Pokemon Scarlet and Violet world this weekend. So if you are into that game and you are still, going after these raids every now and then guess what? This weekend we have a big one called Treads and Great Tusk Terra Raid. So look forward to that. In other news, sad news for PacMan 99 Online. It's ending. Nintendo has decided to end its service for PacMan 99 Online at the end of October. Now, this 99 format of games is actually a really great one for Nintendo, and I wish that instead of removing games or having games temporarily on Nintendo Online, they would add more to them. Like right now we have Tetris 99, and Tetris has been there for a while, and I think it's the only one who has actually stayed. We've also had the Mario one that was fantastic, and now Pac-Man, and they've all been very temporarily. So I hope Nintendo actually decides to leave them on. But right now, Pac-Man is going away. I think that's going to do it for Rapid Fire News today. And let's move on to today's top story. The Legend of Zelda fans are probably sad with Eiji Onuma's latest remarks. And let's go ahead and read into this. This story comes to us by MyNintendoNews.com, and it reads, Aonuma finds Ocarina of Time format a bit restricting. Now will continue with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom format. That title's a bit grammatically incorrect, but we'll move forward with that and then, talk about what this means. So let's go ahead and read here. The Legend of Zelda producer Eiji Onuma recently participated in an interview with Game Informer to celebrate the release of The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, which is another fine adventure to get immersed in. One of the questions put to Onuma was the view of that Ocarina of Time created the blueprint for 3D Zelda adventures until the arrival of The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild in 2017 for the Wii U and Nintendo Switch. Onuma agreed that the particular point says the acclaimed Ocarina of Time did kind of create a format for a number of titles in the franchise that came after it. But in some ways, that was a little bit restricting for us. They then arrived at Breath of the Wild and the new type of more open play and freedom that it affords. Yeah, I think it's correct to say that it has created a new kind of format for the series to proclaim from. On that note, I think a lot of people share the viewpoint that Ocarina of Time was kind of a starting point for one era of Zelda games, laying the foundation for the several titles that came after. Do you see Breath of the Wild as establishing a new blueprint for foundation of the next several Zelda games for years to come? So Eiji Onuma said, with Ocarina of Time, I think it's correct to say that it did kind of create a format for a number of titles in the franchise that came after it. But in some ways, that was a little bit restricting for us. While we always aim to give the player freedoms of certain kinds, there were certain things that format didn't really afford in giving people freedom. Of course, the series continued to evolve after Ocarina of Time, but I think it's also fair to say, now that we've arrived at Breath of the Wild and the new type of more open play and freedom that it affords, yeah, I think it's correct to say that it has created a new kind of format for the series to proceed from. So basically what he is saying here is that, yes, Ocarina of Time was that game that kind of implemented that format at that time and period that basically inspired and pushed forward the following games after that. But now that we have Breath of the Wild, I think Breath of the Wild was really what they were aiming for when it comes to a Legend of Zelda game. And now that they have it, they have the actual formula. What they're going to do is start building on top of it. And we've seen that with Tears of the Kingdom. I mean, Tears of the Kingdom is just such a massive game. And I would say almost double the game of Breath of the Wild. But it still keeps the same formula and same factor. And I actually spoke about this during my review when it comes to the game's formula. You know, the game formula from Ocarina of Time, it's more linear. There are dungeons, and there's a certain way of playing the Legend of Zelda game that a lot of fans who are used to that would love to see again. But then there's the other formula that's the open world concept that gives you the freedom to go anywhere, do anything, you know? And this is the formula that Eiji Onuma wanted to follow. And I think this was their goal from the very beginning. I know that every other game in the past, like Ocarina of Time, it did have its open areas, right? And I think this Tears of the Kingdom format and Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild format is what they really intended to have from the very beginning, this open zone. Since Zelda 1 was technically an open world game as well. It was just made in the NES era, right? They didn't have the technology to make it look and react the way they do now. And this could be sad for a lot of people who wanted to see another game, another linear game, just like the games in the past, the games that you guys grew up on when it comes to The Legend of Zelda. But then again, you have to take into account that Breath of the Wild broke records and really created a brand new atmosphere for the Legend of Zelda franchise, and it literally sold more than any other prior game. And now Tears of the Kingdom has broken the Legend of Breath of the Wild's record with 10 million sales right off the back in the first couple of weeks. So this is a big thing for the Legend of Zelda, and I feel personally like it can only get better. Yes, Nintendo can go ahead and implement little features here and there as an homage to games of the past, but when it comes to the Legend of Zelda, it's an action adventure game, and the action and the adventure part is very, very, very prominent in both Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. That's not to say that we will never ever see the linear Zelda games ever again, since there are rumors that Nintendo is planning on doing some remakes of games in the past, right? And we are looking forward to these games, and I feel like there will be two types of Zelda games that are going to be released. There's going to be the mainline game, which is like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom and whatever follows Tears of the Kingdom. And then there's going to be these top-down games that are remade from the past, like Link's Awakening was released, right? And now whatever follows Link's Awakening, whatever Nintendo decides to remake in the format of Link's Awakening, which is the same formula from The Legend of Zelda back in the day. So at least we have that type of formula. They're the top-down games, and then we have the fully open world games. I want to know your thoughts now down below in the comments. What do you guys think of Eiji Onuma's statement of the fact that they're going to proceed now with the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom formula, giving us more freedom in an open world game, and just built on top of that. And the fact that the Ocarina of Time formula or type of game is basically done. They're not making any more games when it comes to that type of formula. How does that make you feel? What do you think? about this? Did Tears of the Kingdom convince you that this is actually the new way of Legend of Zelda games moving forward? Or would you like to see Nintendo take some elements from the past and just bring them to the present and incorporate them in future games? That is going to do it for today's episode of Odyssey News. But before I let you go, I have two important things I need to let you know. Number one, never ever give up. And number two, journey on. Peace.
We're on a journey, looking back on the things that we've taken for granted, but feels like we're learning to be better without what's been holding us back now.